super cute together, I think. And they're so colorful to work together. So
cute little people.
Yeah. Little presents. Lots of fun things to do. Okay. It'll be in 2 parts, just to be safe. We'll get everything ready here.
It's Christmas here at DecoArt. And more holiday decorations up.
Yes, we love that. Okay, I'm so glad you could join us today with Michaels. I'm Crimson with DecoArt, and we're going to be showing this cute project. It's like an artful village. I'm going to be showing you the paint pour trees, and then after I'm done, Paul will come in and show her project of the cute little gingerbread houses and gingerbread men and women. So yeah, we'll just get started, and I'll show you this fun project, and I hope you try it out. So I'm going to try to take it slow and not go too fast today. The main thing, okay, when you start, I made these with foam core board. So you could obviously use cardboard as well, but I just really just used scrap foam core board that I had in my studio. And honestly, I didn't even measure or the trees. I just used a ruler to use to have a straight edge for the triangles. I'll just show you how I did that real quick. And you want to have an X-Acto knife, a sharp one. It's a very good tool for this project because you're going to be cutting into the foam core. My tip broke off, but it still works. And you know, if it's not exactly right, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, which is great. And you know, sometimes I'll cut it a little less, and you can see sometimes it gets like that, and you have that still not cut. What I like to do is fold it over, and you just go on the other side and cut it, and that takes care of that, just like that. So then I like to cut the little edge off the trees like that, just to give it a little bit more interest. You don't have to do that if you want, but I also kept the little cut-offs to make little baby trees on the bottom, and you can see those. And I did the same thing with the presents. It's just a square of foam core board. So yeah, there's that. Now we'll start pouring. I'll show you how I did that with minimal mess. I mean, it's going to be a little messy, so you want to have a surface that is either cleanable or, you know, something you can throw away. Another tool I like to use are these skewers, the wooden skewers. They're really great because they have the point, and that's what you need to poke into that foam core board. And I'll show you. Well, I'll show you my setup too before I start pouring. I like to use this grate a lot for pouring, and usually I have this set in a Tupperware, and that way I just peel it right off when it dries, and it's really fun. Then you can use the skins for other things. But these grates, I call them, I mean, they're like a little shelf you get in the home section. They fold up, but you can really use anything. They're good because I just poked holes in another piece of foam core board, and that's going to hold your little tree lollipop thing that you pour on. You'll see what I mean in a second, because you're just going to poke it right down in there while it drip dries. So you just take your wooden skewer, and you know, you find around about the middle, and just kind of push it in maybe like an inch, inch and a half, so it's secure like your little lollipop. And you know, that would be a good idea if you cut round and made lollipops. I mean, you can, it's a versatile project. So, and then I'll show you this. For the baby trees, I just went ahead and stuck it on a skewer for later, and I'll show you what I did with those. So I'll just go ahead and start pouring. The fun part You move this. There's two ways that I did these pours, and I'll show you both ways because they're pretty quick. So, okay, for the first one, and we're using the Fluid Art Ready-to-pour, and there's so many colors available at Michael's for you guys, and they're super fun to play with. And so, the first step is you just kind of get the paint on there, swirl it around. I work on both sides at once. Now, if you wanted to do one side at a time, you know, you would just have to let it dry and then flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. But I like doing it at the same time. And so I'm just using different colors. Just kind of layering them on there. And you can use whatever colors you want, you know, to match your decor, or if you just want to get really crazy with it. I used like a aqua and like a bright violet and a red. I just think those colors look good together. So after you get your paint kind of on there, it's already starting to drip. You're wanting it to move around on the surface. And you can help it out and kind of tap it. Already getting cool things going on. You just move it around till you get something you like. And just keep in mind that it's going to drip down a little bit. So it'll be a little bit more vertical shapes. You see that? I love the way the paint pours look. And you know, you can always add more paint if it's not pouring down on one part or something.
And do you have to mix these with anything?
No, they're pre-mixed, which is great. You pour them straight out of the bottle. And you know, you can do your other pours, like your dirty pours that you mix in a cup. If you want to do that instead of pouring directly on, but these are great. Like you literally just pour them right out of the bottle, and they're so fun. I mean, it's great for kids. It's great for any projects. There, we got something like that, and we just touch up where the little paint is not showing. May not covering. Yeah. So then you just stick it down in the little hole, the pre-cut hole we have with our little skewer, and I just leave it there to dry. And then I'll wipe my finger off. Now once that's dry, you just twist it and it pops right off of that dirty skewer. And I'll show you after I get done pouring how you attach it to the base. And I'll show you this next pour. It's just a little different. I just base coated the tree first. Let's see. Let me use this color. It's basically you just pour it on there. And you know, obviously if you don't want to get paint all over your hands, you can wear gloves, but you know, it wipes off really easy. I use baby wipes, soap and water, gets it off super easy too.
So you're base coating it with one of the pour
Yeah,
paints.
Yeah, just pick whichever color you want to get it all covered like that. It's like yummy icing, but don't eat it. It's very visceral. I love the way it looks when you're just working with it. It's so beautiful. So then I get it all coated. Let me wipe my finger off. Okay, and then I just go ahead and do kind of, you know, stripes instead of swirls, or any pattern you want to try out. I think it's great for experimenting, and it's really forgiving. Like you can just do whatever you want and it looks very cool. Yeah. And then like that. And if you wanted to make it swirl around again, just by moving your little stick. This way, I think it moves around a little less, so it's a little bit more like it stays where it's going to be a little bit better. But both ways are really fun, I think. You see that? Yeah, it's just a very, very cool paint to use for all kinds of projects. I'm just going to stick that in. See, even if they fall over, they don't touch, so it's great. All right, so as those are drying, what I did also, like you can add any embellishments to your trees that you want, you know, like beads or, you know, glitter, just anything. I like to add a little star, and I just did that by painting. I actually used a brush with the ready-to-pour yellow, the bright yellow, and painted it on a cardstock, and just let that dry, and then just cut out some squares like that. Yeah, so I drew on this star, and obviously you can trace it if you don't feel comfortable just freehanding it. And then you just cut out the star super fast. You know, you don't have to do it on the top. I think they look really neat without it, but you know, it's good variation to have one with that little cute star. Yeah. And they're super easy to put together because after you cut them out, you just flip it over. Just like, and then you put the painted sides out. And, you know, I just used a little bit of glue to glue that together. And I just left this little area here that you can slide onto the top of your Christmas tree. And you just let that dry. So you can have that drying as you go and do other things. But if you did want to make a little baby tree, you see I've already put it on a skewer. And I basically did that same technique to coat. You can use a brush too if you don't want to get your fingers in it. And you just let those dry, and then, you know, you can secure them to the base of your Christmas tree if you want to add those. The bases are really easy to make as well. I just bought some like wooden ornaments that already have the hole cut in them, and you can get these at Michael's. They have them a lot of places. Sometimes you can get a big pack, which is really great. Yeah. And then again, I'm just using the skewer to make the base. I'll show you. I'll take one off and show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to do it. I didn't glue mine together. If you want them to be more secure, you can add a little dot of glue to hold everything in place. But you see how that is put together? Really simple.
So you put 3 little skewers in one hole.
Yeah, and it fits, actually fits perfect on these. But you know, you can always trim it down with an X-Acto knife if it didn't feel exactly right. Then I just stuck that on top of there. Add a little present. But what I did, and you don't even really have to measure, which is great. I just took the skewer and I just kind of broke it like that. And then you want to break 2 other pieces that are the same size. Like that. I just fit them in there. And it fits pretty snug, so that's good. Like I said, though, if you wanted to add a piece of glue, or a drop of glue to hold it. And then there you go. So it works perfectly. And then once these are dry, like I said, you just take them off and put them on the clean skewer, and then you're ready to go. So I hope you enjoy this project, and I hope you try it out because it's really fun. And Paul's going to come in and talk about her cute little gingerbread houses that she's painted on wood. And I think the whole village looks so cute together. So we're going to switch over, and I hope you enjoyed this. Pack up my stuff. Simple. Did it. Okay.
Hey everyone, I hope you're still here. Happy holidays. Thank you for being here with us. My name is Pla Schneider, and thank you, Michaels, for having us. So as you can see, Crimson and I totally tag team this project, and I didn't get to see her little trees, and she did not get to see my little gingerbread men and houses, but I really love the way all of the colors look together. And because Christmas is right around the corner, we did keep it a little bit simple this time. So I know we don't have that much time to be creating, but I think this is super fun, and we're going to get started with the little houses. So my goals, and I usually find my goals, I find these up as you check out. They're in like little bins, and they're about $1. So I just love the prices. It's something that you can get for, the kids to paint and create. So we're going to go through the steps here. The first step is to use, I would say, a medium-sized flat brush. And I used dark chocolate. And I added 1 coat of dark chocolate, let it dry, and then added a second coat. The next step is just this simple design, and you can freehand, or if you'd like, you can take a pencil and sketch it first. In case you didn't know, pencil erases really nicely off of the Americana, but that's only if it's 100% dry. So you want to make sure that it's dry, and then you can just use a regular old pencil, make your sketch, and if you have any mistakes, you can erase. Or you could also paint, wait for that to dry, and then erase, like let's say you had some lines outside of where you painted. Okay, and I'm going to show you how nice this Americana, which is America's favorite craft paint, like how great it covers. This is a white over a really dark brown, hence the word dark chocolate. I'm not going to do the entire design. I just wanted to show you that if you do this in steps, it just simplifies the process. And I know that the gingerbread house is not overly complicated, but I feel like this is the simplest way. So there's, the door. And this would be the next step where all of your white base is completely, dry, and you can move on to the details. So we're going for this look. And again, I can sort of improvise as we go. You don't have to stick, to a specific design. And I'll try to paint upside down here. And as you can see, I'm using a small round brush. It doesn't have to be a liner brush, but I would say like a number 2 or smaller, just depending on how, detailed you want to get. So we're just going to do some simple stripes on the candy cane, add a diagonal. And over here, I used red and pink, and there's no reason to change it up. But I love this color. It's Sea Breeze. So it's a little bit of a variation on your completely, traditional red, white, and green. This is like a really pretty bluish light green. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I do want to add a couple other colors just so you can see how it starts to come together pretty quickly. And now I'm reaching into the primary red. And maybe we will do this little peppermint up here. And to do that, you just want to make like a wide line and then curl in towards the center. Oh, my brush is a little wet, guys. By the way, if a mistake like that happens, I would not try to fuss with it right at this moment. I would totally just let that dry and then come in with the white. But for now, we're just going to keep going. Okay, let's bring in one more color just so you can see all 3 colors together. I mean, aside from the dark chocolate and the white, of course. So we will bring in a little bit of pink, and maybe we're going to make a window here. The bottom will be flat and the top will be rounded. So remember, you can freehand this, but of course you can just take a pencil and sketch out your design first, if you'd like. And there's a little window. We will do a doorknob. And for the sake of this demo, I'm not going to finish the little house. I just wanted to point out how easy it sort of starts to come together once you start to add some of those little details. What we're going to do next is take this one, which is dry, to here. And that's a product called Snow Tex, which is an absolute favorite during the holiday season. And I know some of you might be saying, oh, but Michael's is running out of that product. In some stores, yes, they might be. So I'm going to give you an alternative that also works really nicely. Doesn't look quite the same, but at least it's a very nice alternative. And I'll just be doing that in a second. So I'm taking just a regular plastic palette knife and just applying the Snow Tex. And it does take a little getting used to, but you can see how easy it is. And I am having some of it sort of come forward, you know, like real snow would do. We'll add just a little bit more. And I would say you do want to be generous with it, and you'll see why in just a sec. I'm just going to finish up this side, guys. Bear with me. Is the front part looking at? Oh, I can see that. I like that. Okay. You guys are getting a close-up view for sure. That looks great. It almost looks great. I just don't like these little bare parts there. Sometimes I do just use my finger. Okay, almost done. Almost done. Okay, so that side looks great. You would basically do the same on this side, of course. So here's the fun part that I feel really is gonna bring it up a level and have it look like more like a gingerbread house with little gumdrops on top, is I'm taking these little plastic beads, and you can use, you know, anything. It could be little wood beads, it could be glitter, anything that you feel that looks like bright, colorful candy, I think would work great. And I'm just taking it and pushing it right into the Snow Tex. And the sooner you do this, the better. I did want to mention that as thick as the Snow Tex is, it does dry quicker than you might think, which is nice, but you know, you definitely want to do any embellishing when it's still wet. What do you guys think? More? Yeah. Okay, let's do one more. And of course, you can put as few or as many as you'd like. And I'm just going to turn this so you can see how pretty it looks. So now we're going to move on. And just for the sake of demoing, I'm going to use this one. And we're going to use a product called where is it? There it is. Americana Decor Texture. And again, using a palette knife. So as Elizabeth is showing you, you know, all the pretty colors over there, I'm going to be using the pearl because it, you know, reminds me more of snow than some of the other. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm just gonna show. Okay. And it's kind of the same technique as with the Snow Tex. I feel like this requires a little bit less work. But, you know, there's both of them are still really quick and easy. It's just a different feel. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be a little generous here because of course we want to embellish. And just like real snow would do, I'm going to come forward a little bit. So I'm working backwards, guys. I hope it looks okay. And these are totally different. Of course, the snow text is going to look more like snow, but the Americana Decor texture is going to give you this really nice metallic sheen. And I know you can see it on camera now a little bit, but once it dries, it really has a nice metallic shimmer to it. And this one is the same deal. You want to start to apply the embellishments pretty much right away.
That one really looks like frosting.
Yeah, you're right. This one looks more like frosting. And I'm using the same ones. Of course, you can get creative. That one was just stuck to my finger, so we might as well use it. You can just sprinkle glitter. I've also seen faux candy sprinkles. I think there's all kinds of fun things you can do here. And then I also want to show you, once they're on there, I could even go completely upside down. And that's how nice and thick the Americana Decor texture is. It doesn't even go anywhere. Really pretty. We are going to be doing the little gingerbread men coming up, but I wanted to give you one more option. Because I know everyone has different tastes. Some people love simplicity. Some of you love sparkle. So I am taking DecoArt Galaxy Glitter, and this one is the Clear Ice Comet. And it's one of my favorites, and I'll tell you why. You can always buy a variety of colors, of course, and then glitter every section of your project individually. But if you didn't want to take quite that much time, and let's say you have a lot of tiny detail, and we'll do it to this one. Now, I do want to mention, we'll do it to this one. I do want to mention that in real life, if I was creating this project, I would do the glitter first, wait for it to dry, and then do the snow text at the end. Same with the Americana Decor texture. But I just wanted to show you guys this really pretty option. I happen to like sparkly, and I think this makes it look even more festive. So by using a rake brush, I think you can get a really nice quick application. And I'm also trying to brush it out where it's not on there too thick, trying to go very, very sparingly so that you can really see the design underneath.
Could you add that to the snow text?
You could add it to the snow text only once it's 100% dry, but I mean, I could even do a little section just so you could.
Oh.
So good question, Elizabeth.
I like that on the snow text.
Yeah. And I know right now, I'm watching the monitor here. There's a lot of glare, but if you can imagine, once the resin from the Galaxy Glitter dries, you'll just see the glitter like a really pretty sparkle. Okay, so that's your houses. I gave you a few options. Let's scooch these over. Since we have gingerbread houses, I think that we need gingerbread men. What do you guys think? And gingerbread women. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna grab one of those. It doesn't matter which one. I'll get those. Okay, should I put them like this instead?
Yeah.
Now these are very, very simple gingerbread people. Of course, you can get extremely detailed and ornate, but I wanted to show you a couple of tricks on creating them very easily. So you start off with, just a little peg doll. And I went in again with the medium, I would say with like this size brush here. A medium-sized flat brush. And I wanted them to be just a little bit lighter than the gingerbread houses so that they wouldn't, sort of get lost in our little village. So all I did was mix about 1 part of our Snow White with 3 parts of the dark chocolate. And you'll get that, let's call this like a milk chocolate. You get like a milk chocolate and then the houses are a dark chocolate. So this is 2 coats, and of course that's completely dry. So here's a trick. Rather than trying to make those tiny little eyes with the brush, I'm just gonna put the tip of this small paintbrush, and you can use any small paintbrush, in the paint and just dot and dot. And I'm gonna do the same thing for their little cheeks. And then the buttons, same thing. So I did make a boy and a girl just for fun. So this one's going to be the girl. I'm going to start the button up higher. We could do 3, and you'll see why in a second. And then the last thing, for this, you want to make sure that you are using a liner brush, because the peg dolls are so tiny. And you can make any type of a swirl or any type of design, which is like their hair / icing. One of the really nice things about working with Americana acrylics is they dry quickly. Like I could see that this eye is a little bit off compared to that one. You know, I wouldn't try to fuss with it now. I would just wait for it to dry and then take my liner brush and just sort of go right there with the same mixture and make that a perfect circle. Okay, so we are going to add finishing touches. I found these adorable itty bitty bows. Now, when I'm gluing, rather than just trying to squeeze the glue right from the bottle, I like to open it and just make a little puddle. So I think it's just so much easier and faster. And then take the back of a brush or a palette knife, and we're going to add a little bit of glue to the back of both. Is there a back and a front? I think they're the same. So kind of foolproof. Either side, add a little bit of glue. And then set it down. Same with the other one. Set it down. And then we're going to add glue. See, on this one, if you can notice, I placed the first button a little bit lower, and I only did 2. And the reason is he's going to have a little bow tie. Set him down right there. And she's going to have a bow on her head. Now, I do want to tell you, typically, like if I was just creating these at home, I would have let this glue set for 3 minutes and then dabbed it onto, you know, both surfaces. You always get a nicer adherence when you dab glue to both surfaces that you're adhering together. But I think because this is extremely lightweight, I think we can go ahead and try it now. Sometimes, you guys, the little details make all of the difference in the world. I was asking Elizabeth when we were setting up, do these guys need little mouths? Because I kind of like them without a mouth. And she agreed that they look cute, simple. So that's what we went with. Okay. And then, of course, hers is going to go up on her head.
Does that glue dry clear?
It does. I know right now it looks like a white blobby mess, but it dries clear. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention is there's no reason why you couldn't, and let's see if this glitters a little bit drier. Not yet, but there's no reason why you couldn't apply the Galaxy Glitter Clear Ice Comet onto these guys as well.
People are saying this would make a great family project.
Yeah, I think, I mean, how cute if you made a little gingerbread boy or girl for everyone in your family. And I think we should put them all together, and I think they're staying on good enough just to set them over here. I did want to mention one more thing. That would be super fun. Maybe not this tray, but let's say that you had a tray or a cookie sheet that's really, really shallow. And I would not use this. Maybe I would use it upside down. Okay. And smaller, depends on how big you wanted your village, right? And you took the snow text. And I'm just going to do a little area here. I'm not going to do the whole thing. And you laid it out. And of course you would cover the whole thing. And this is really big. I don't know if I would go this big. It's up to you. I also like that the snow text adheres really well to a variety of surfaces. I think the trick is you want to make sure that it's like touching each other. You don't want any empty or, bald spots with it. That really helps with the adherence. So let's say that you did this over your entire tray or cookie sheet, whatever you're working with. And then you took your pieces, and I'm not going to stick them in there, guys. Hopefully, if you get a front shot, you can kind of get the idea. But when it's wet, you literally push, well, that's not glued on there. You push the pieces down.
You have a snowy little village.
And you can have exactly what Elizabeth just said. That's the wrong gingerbread. We want the gingerbreads with the bows. I mean, how cute would that be? I know it's kind of hard to maybe envision it, but it would be beautiful. Now, that being said, you could also take the Americana Decor texture and do the same exact thing. Let's do a little corner here. And then I have one more tip that I would probably do. And I would go pretty generous. And you can always sprinkle some loose glitter on it, like our Glamour does, and the crystal would be really pretty. So you have two options there. But the other option I wanted to mention is on every individual piece, you can come in and add snow text to the bottom.
That's a big snowstorm.
And you can go all the way around. Yes, this would be a lot. This would be a white Christmas for sure. But isn't that so cute? And then when you set them down, it will look like real snow. Okay, guys, I hope that you like these projects. I try to keep it, simple and easy. Or maybe you just want to do a few and keep it simple. Anyhow, thank you, Michaels, for having us. I hope everyone has a super great holiday season, and we will see you next time. Bye.